The ABC has uncovered the role played by Australia's two most powerful media barons in the lead up to Malcolm Turnbull's removal as Prime Minister. It's emerged that Mr Turnbull was in regular contact with Seven West media boss Kerry Stokes, who in turn quizzed Rupert Murdoch about why his media outlets were running hard against the former Prime Minister. Here's political editor Andrew Probyn.
Now, I suppose I should say something about the events of the last week or so.
It was with these words that a defeated Malcolm Turnbull alluded to another tussle.
There was a determined insurgency from a number of people, both in the party room and sort of backed by voices, powerful voices in the media, really to bring, if not bring down the government, certainly bring down my prime ministership.
Some of those powerful voices hadn't hidden their disgust with the then Prime Minister.
This is about our country. You've lost the battle, mate. We need to change the order.
Other voices were also to be heard, but they didn't need a microphone. Rupert Murdoch was in Australia as the Liberal leadership melted. And he was swapping notes with fellow mogul Kerry Stokes of Seven West Media. The ABC's pieced together a story of how the Prime Ministership had become a tug of war between two powerful media moguls. In the weeks leading up to the crisis, Mr Turnbull confided in Kerry Stokes his belief that sections of the media, including News Corp, were out to get him. Mr Stokes took it upon himself to find out from Mr Murdoch himself. According to multiple retellings of what happened next, Mr Murdoch told Mr Stokes that Malcolm has got to go. The West Australian suggested that'd risk a Labor government and a more militant industrial relations landscape. Rupert Murdoch's reply, 3 years of Labor was a price he was willing to pay. This version of events has been relayed by Mr Turnbull to multiple people since he left for New York. He's also told people he called Mr Murdoch himself to ask whether he was using his media empire to campaign against his prime ministership. The 87-year-old denied he was doing so, but according to this account, said he was not responsible for what Boris might be doing, referring to the editor-in-chief of The Australian. Kerry Stokes is known to have urged senior figures inside the coalition, including Matthias Cormann, to stick with Mr Turnbull.
This is my leader.
But when his leadership was terminal, the media baron let it be known he didn't want the new PM to be Peter Dutton. His Perth newspaper, the West Australian, even editorialised in favour of Mr Turnbull stepping aside for Scott Morrison, although by the day of the second spill, his support had swung behind WA's own Julie Bishop. Malcolm Turnbull remains very bitter about the Prime Ministership that got away from him. He and his loyal supporters have reason to let it be known publicly that while ballots cast in the Liberal party room are what brought him unstuck, the hands of media billionaires were never far from the action either. Andrew Probyn, ABC News, Canberra.